Hi Townsville women, and welcome to this week's newsletter. Now normally you would know that I don't usually do my introduction in video format. Usually it's just a short paragraph or so to introduce, sort of give you, I try and make it amusing, but it's not always. But anyway, so I started writing out this week's introduction and it was just becoming longer and longer. So I thought, you're not going to want to read that. No one is going to read that. So let's just put it in a video, and whether you watch it or not, it's up to you. So you will have noticed, or you may not have, but lately I've been a little bit quiet for the past couple of weeks on in Townsville Women because I've been away. So last week there wasn't a newsletter at all, and then this week there almost wasn't a newsletter because I didn't realise, even though yesterday is called Good Friday, I didn't realise that yesterday was Friday. Yeah, this is grey hair, but I think it might be a bit blonde too. Yeah, it wasn't until this morning that I sort of woke up and went, oh yeah, what day is it today? I can't really remember. And then realised that yesterday was Friday, and then went, oh, newsletter day. It didn't do it. Yeah, so I'm still on a bit of a holiday hangover and getting back to reality. But anyway, I want to fill you in on what I did. Because it's amazing and it was so much fun, and you all need to add it to your bucket list because it's a lot of fun. If you haven't already, put this on your plan for, within the next 2 years, do this road trip. You want to go from Townsville and just hit the highway. It's called the Overlanders Way, and it takes you west, almost in a straight line. There are some curvy bits in the road there along the way. So the organisers of the Julia Creek Dirt and Dust Festival have this thing every year where they do a bit of a week leading up to the festival. They like to call it Pit Stop to the Creek. The idea being that it gets people stopping at the communities along the way to boost their, gives a little bit of a boost to their economy, because obviously, you're buying your fuel, you're buying your servo pie, you're buying your pub lunches in these places. Along the way out to Julia Creek for the festival. This year though, we took that a step further, and a whole group of us actually got the opportunity to go on a car convoy road trip with community events along the way. So this was a sponsored trip, and it was so much fun. It was just a joy to be involved with. So the idea was that we hit the road here on the Sunday, and then we stopped in Charters Towers, Hughenden, Richmond, Cloncurry, Mount Isa, and then back to Julia Creek in time for the festival on the weekend. And then in each of those stops, we were travelling with the Optus truck. So every night they would set up their truck with it's got like a hydraulic movie screen on the side. So they'd park up and they'd raise this movie screen, and then they would put on the Greatest Showman. So the movie, it's a musical, it's brilliant. It's got Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, Michelle Williams, and other people. There's lots of people in it. Lots of singing, lots of dancing, lots of colour, lots of it's a good movie. So every night we would watch that movie. Yes, it was the same movie, and yes, we know all the words. And we would have a community barbecue set up with the Isuzu truck. So Isuzu Townsville and Tony Island Townsville, they were another sponsor, and they hit the road with us as part of the convoy in the Isuzu truck, driven by the very hilarious, he's a character, his name is Tricky, and oh, he's a laugh. He was a joy to be around. He was hilarious. So he was in charge of cooking the barbecue every night, and at one of the stops, because each night at the barbecue he was the main cook and supervisor. And then there would be a community group from whichever community we were in at the time. They would come along and help. They'd bring the coleslaw and they'd bring the bread and all that sort of stuff, and they would help serve up the barbecue. At one of the stops, they took Tricky's oil. They took his cooking oil, and my God, he was not happy about that. But anyway, give him a beer and he'll be fine. So anyway, so yeah, each event, people from the community would come down. They'd watch the movie. They'd get a free feed. They'd have a look. We'd have all our cars set up as well for a little bit of like a car show. And so we did that in all of the stops along the way. And then in between those stops, we got to sort of go through, you know, the local museums. We got to meet a couple of the mayors along the way. We got to go, you know, we stopped at quite a few pubs. Yeah, stuff like that. We just sort of got to see the town, see the community, chat with locals, and sort of see new parts of the country. So I have never been out there before, so it was very exciting for me. I actually used to live out near Longreach, so I know the road between Rockhampton and Longreach quite well. And I have been from here to Torrens Creek and then down to Aramac to get back to Isis for that way. But I have never been past that Aramac turnoff. So never been to Mount Isa, never been to Hughenden. Yeah, never been to Hughenden. Hadn't been past Torrens Creek. So this was cool. This was really good. You know, I absolutely love Charters Towers. So I always put my hand up to go to Charters Towers whenever I can. But beyond that, I really don't know much of the road at all. So it was really good to see some of that, and do it as part of a group as well. So those of you who don't know, I drive a 1975 VW Combi named Peggy. And Peggy the Combi, she's got a bit of an attitude, this girl, and she decided that she didn't really want to go. At least that's what we're saying. But no, we put her in for a last minute service, and with our mechanics, Foster's Ace Mechanical down on Charles Street in Aikenvale. They're fantastic team down there, absolutely love them. And we put her in for a last minute service and then found out that the brakes were terrible. We'd sort of been so focused on getting her right, you know, getting her started, because it wasn't that long ago that she wouldn't even start. So yeah, we sort of, I was that focused on, okay, I need to not break down on this trip. So we did stuff like change the fuel filter and check all the, I'm not a car person, so I don't know. They did some shit and got it started and got it running and rah. Didn't even think about checking the brakes. Didn't even think about any of that stuff. So thank God we did, because it could have been disastrous. It could have been really bad. So anyway, so they put a rush on this job for us. I almost feel like apologizing to them every time we turn up. But yeah, so they put a rush on it. They're fantastic. And but she unfortunately wasn't ready for us to join the Sunday start. So we missed Charters Towers, but we left Townsville on Monday afternoon. We left here about 3:30, so we headed straight through to catch up with the rest of the crew in Hughenden that night. So thankfully, I know this sounds bad, but thankfully there isn't much wildlife on the road at the moment because of the floods. So unfortunately the floods killed a lot. So we've all heard about the devastation with all of the cattle properties, but along with cattle, there's a lot of animals that live out there. So there wasn't many kangaroos, thankfully, but unfortunately it's because they all died. But not just that, but they also have a lot of food off the road now too. So they tend to sort of, they've got, now that it's rained and there's a bit more greenery over in the paddocks, they tend to stay away from the road. So it's if you're going, go now, because it's a fantastic time to go. Yeah, so we met up with everyone at Hughenden, and then what day are we up to now? Tuesday morning, we're still in Hughenden. We had breakfast at the FC Holden's Cafe, which is really funky. It's an awesome little cafe. It's got all, you know, car memorabilia and stuff in it. It's like a mini museum. Yeah, so we had brekkie there, great coffee, great food. And then we hopped back in the car, went to shut the sliding door. Peggy is a van, so the sliding door, and it broke. It jammed shut. So this was, mind you, we just joined the convoy the night before. Up to this point, we'd had a lot of jokes thrown at us, like, oh, we didn't even think you'd make it. You know, everyone expects the Combi to fail because it's a Combi. That's what they're known for. You know, you don't own a Combi it's not a reliable car. But anyway, and so when this happened, I'm just like, oh, really? Like, we haven't even started. We haven't even left the first town that we're at, and already we've got problems. But anyway, so because the door was jammed shut, what this meant is that for the rest of the week then, we were loading and unloading our camping gear and our bags through the tiny side window or through the boot, or we were climbing in through the front seat. So it made for an interesting trip, and it wasn't fun. But anyway, that was yeah. Then that afternoon we arrived in Richmond, and we have checked into our caravan park, put up a tent, whatnot. Looked at the front of my car, and it is just completely covered in grasshopper guts. So it's quite funny actually. When we first hit the highway and we got past Charters Towers, and it sort of started to go dark, and then I'm like, there's all these things. It honestly sounded like my car was falling apart. But what it is that grasshoppers hitting the car, and they're hitting the underside of the car, they're hitting the front, and it sounds like you're hitting things, or like bolts are coming off the car and hitting underneath the car. So anyway, that's how much faith I have in my car, is that I thought that it was falling apart. But then in between Hughenden and Richmond, the grasshoppers are horrible. they're everywhere. Yeah, so when we got to Richmond, and we're supposed to have our cars on display, and I just sort of looked at the front of this car, and it was just like, oh my god, it's carnage. It just looks like it was gross. Have a look at Peggy the Combi's Instagram, because I did actually share a photo there. So anyway, so then we're like, oh, okay, that's fine, we'll find a car wash. Yeah, there ain't no car washes out there. so we checked in with the local, what is it out there, a Spa supermarket or a Foodworks supermarket, and we're sort of like, oh, where's your local car wash? And she just sort of looked at us like we were pug idiots, and she's like, yeah, we sell buckets. So we brought a bucket and we went and found a tap. So we did it that way. But anyway, so then we're setting up. We're going to set up for that night's community event, and as we've driven up, one of the people that were with our crew, she's gone, hey, there's something dangling down at the front of your car. So I'm like, oh my god, this is still day one. Remember, we've only just met up with them the night before, and I'm like, my car, oh my god. Yep, get out, hop down on my belly to look underneath the car, and sure enough, the front guard is dangling down. So it's held up by about 3 or 4 screws. There was one left, all the others had fallen out. So you know how I said that it was just grasshoppers hitting the car? No, it probably was a couple of those where my car was falling apart. So, oh my god, crap. Screwed the last remaining screw back in and just went, she'll be fine. It'll be fine, right? It'll be fine. You just ignore these things and they just, they work, right? Yeah, so we had the event that night. We got to watch The Greatest Showman for the first time because we'd missed Hughenden and Charters Towers. We got introduced to the chicken salt dance. For those of you who have, seen the latest ad for Optus. It's a fish and chip shop, and old mate goes, do you want plain or chicken salt? And yeah, he goes, both. And then they start this stupid dance. Anyway, so it's a funny ad. It's funny now. At the time, we watched it every night for about, I don't even know how many times, but every time it came on, everyone would start dancing, so it was really fun. And then by the end of the week, we sort of we all did it as a group, and we all thought we looked cool, but when you watch back the video, we actually just look like extras from The Walking Dead, and we sort of just look like we were a bunch of zombies. But it was a lot of fun. So that was the chicken salt dance. And then, oh, I have to share this. So the comment of the entire week goes to the Optus bloke. So I don't know if he's the area manager or what he is, but he was the boss man. And anyway, and Tricky, the driver of the Isuzu truck, was sort of giving the Optus blokes hell all week, like, Telstra, And anyway, and Tricky goes, because he was the cook of the barbecue, and he's gone, oh, did you notice, boys, that I had all the steaks stamped with Telstra? and quick as a flash, no joke, this Optus bloke has gone, oh, well, that explains why it didn't quite cover my whole piece of bread. So yeah, apparently an Optus steak would have covered the bread. So anyway, you had to be there. It was hilarious. And good to see that, they have a sense of humour, these Optus boys. They were hilarious. They were great the whole week. And so what are we up to now? That was Tuesday. Now we're at Wednesday. So Wednesday saw us head to Cloncurry. But first of all, we stopped off. No. Oh, I'm all out of whack. So Tuesday afternoon, still in Richmond, we got to go to, we got to look through Chronosaurus Corner, which is the Richmond's museum. So it's all about, apparently Richmond was underwater. Who knew? It was all an ocean. There's all these prehistoric fossils that are now being, you know, dug up over the last how many years. And it's fascinating. It's unreal to think that, you know, you're standing in the main street of Richmond, you don't think anything of it. But once upon a time, you would have been, well, you would have been drowned because you were in the ocean. So it was a really good tour. Great to see. Yeah, great to see so much history and things like that. And there is actually a spot, we didn't get time to do it this time, but it makes me want to go back there because there is actually a section where you can go and dig for fossils. How much fun would that be? So it's all set up, you know, it's all, you get to go in and it's all marked out like proper. And yeah, and tourists have actually uncovered these major finds, like this, one of the major skeleton things, fossils, was discovered by a tourist. So like, oh, you could put yourself in the history books by doing this. So put that on your bucket list. So after Richmond, it was through to Cloncurry, and we were set up at the Mary Kathleen Park. There's like a museum, a tourist information centre. There's a pretty cool little rail ambulance set up, so you can actually see like a restored rail ambulance. It's an ambulance car that's on rail tracks, you guys. Like, it's pretty cool. And yeah, so we had our community event again, and we stayed at a caravan park. This information will be in the blogs because my memory is, I can't remember it off the top of my head. I think it was Sunset. No, that was Mount Isa. Anyway, yeah. So Cloncurry, you got to go through the information centre if you wanted to, which was a lot of fun. Once again, so much history and culture out there. It is a bit of a mining background, mining history, that sort of stuff. So there's all like tractors and stuff set up in the paddock out the front. There is actually a truck that's painted pink, so that's pretty cool. And while we were there, we actually went up. There's like a little bit of a walking track up behind the information centre, and you can walk up on a hill, and it sort of looks out over the whole town. And so we were up there at sunset, and it was just, it was beautiful. So we've got some really cool photos. Again, they'll be shared in the blogs as they're released. And so that was Cloncurry. And then it was through to Cloncurry, then to Mount Isa. Mount Isa, I want to like you, I really do, but far out, man. Now, before I start, the drive from Cloncurry to Mount Isa was the best on the entire road trip. It really was. It was just amazing. It's like you go from this flat land where there's, you know, there's you know, some cows over there and there's a windmill there. But then you get past Cloncurry and it's mountains and the road's windy and just good, gorgeous, just absolutely beautiful. So that was my favourite part of the road trip. Mount Isa though, no. Great town. My eyes, as soon as I walked in, as soon as we got out of the car, my eyes started watering, my nose was running, my skin, it just felt like I needed to bathe myself in an entire tub of QV. So my body does not agree with Mount Isa, but I wish it did because there's so much to explore and there's so much to see out there. So we went to the information centre to start with, and we met the mayor, and I had a bit of a chat with her. And then we got to go through the tourist information. They've got like a bit of an exhibition thing set up. They got like a little cafe in there too, which is awesome. But then we went from there to, all the convoys sort of just split up at that point. Some went back to the caravan park to rest up and wash their cars. So I don't know what everyone else did, but we went to, we found our first sign of major shopping centre since we left Townsville. So hello Kmart. So we went for a walk through the shopping centre, brought some stuff that we didn't really need, which always happens when you find Kmart, and yeah, so sort of that sort of stuff. So then it was time to then head over to Buchanan Park. Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. And it's the major rodeo grounds for Mount Isa. Now, Mount Isa take their rodeos pretty damn seriously, because this arena thing is just massive. Like, it's huge. Normally, like, I'm used to Bartlett Park at Kelso and the one out at Black River, where you're seated in, you know, the open grandstands, where it's like what you have at the local footy, you know, the local kids soccer game sort of thing. You know, it's a hard bench, it's uncomfortable, you've got to climb up, you know, past people, and then, or you sit on the grass, you sit on the hill. Not at Mount Isa. Mount Isa is like full stadium seating. So they've got this massive big thing. It's brilliant. So that's where we were. So there's a grass area out there. So we stood up there with the Optus truck. This was the last night. So this was the night we all got to do our fish and chip shop zombie dance. And that was the last night for the barbecue. We left there and then we headed up to the lookout. So we got to see out over the town at night. And it is, like I said, Mount Isa, I want to like you. I really do. And I do like you. But from what I can see through my streaming eyes, because they were still teary and dry, the town is lovely. Like, it's yeah, just a bit not sure about that mine being so close to where people live, but at night it's all lit up and it's lovely. So yeah, that was Mount Isa. Then the next morning we had a bit of a longer drive ahead of us. So we went from Mount Isa back to Julia Creek. So Julia Creek, for those that don't know, Julia Creek's actually between Richmond and Cloncurry. So we had to go from Mount Isa back through Cloncurry, and then it was at Julia Creek. So because of this, those that wanted to could stay in Mount Isa for the morning and do the underground tour, which is what my sister did. Or the rest of us just hit the road and wanted to get to Julia Creek. In my case, I like to give the car a bit of a rest, a bit of a cool down along the way, so that's why I'm like, nah, let's just hit the road. That way we can take our time. You know, there was also a few touristy things along the way that I wanted to sort of stop and get a look at, so that's what we did. Yeah, so we just outside Mount Isa, there's the Mary Kathleen historical site. So it used to be a mine and a whole township, and everything, like all the buildings have since been knocked down, but you can still sort of get a feel for what's there, and then you can drive up and have a look at all the some of the mining structures, and like the tunnels and things are still in place. So me and my daughter Belle went and had a look in there, and we drove on some roads that we probably shouldn't have driven on. Yeah, Peggy's not a four-wheel drive. She was that day. so some of the roads were washed out and a bit scary, but she did it because she's a champion. She's a trooper. And so yeah, we got some really cool photos there. And then it was, then we hopped back on the road and made our way back to Julia Creek. So we got to Julia Creek at about 3 or 4, and set up camp, got ready to hit the festival. So the kids' triathlon was the Friday afternoon, and a few of our convoy mates, they brought their kids. And the kids did amazing. Like, they smashed it. They're champions. And then that night there was a concert. There was a welcome dinner with delicious food, and the concert, and great music. Lots of beer. I don't normally drink beer. Lots of beer. And yeah, so that was Friday night. And then on Saturday was the races. Now races. I have always wanted to go to the races. So the last time I went to the races was in that place out near Longreach, Isisford, where I used to live. And it was the case, you know, you just come as you are. Some people get dressed up, most people just, yeah, you just come as you are. This time we decided we were going to dress up. We were going to get all fancy. So we made our totally over the top hats. We found our dresses and we hit the races. But beforehand, now there's a lot of flies out there. Like, we had fly nets, you know, they cover your head, and it's like a mozzie net for your head to keep the flies off your face. There was that. It was windy. So when you're wearing a dress, you have to hold it the whole time, otherwise it's woo. As well as that, there was uneven dirt, because we're in a cow paddock. We're camping out in a cow paddock, and you then have to walk from there to the races in heels. You didn't think that one through, did you? Yeah, so I wasn't Mr. Happy Pants. Not happy pants. Not happy at all. Bit miserable. Didn't really like the races. Yeah, next year I'm going in jeans and boots all the way. And then we missed the bloody registration to go in for our fancy over the top hats, and we lost our money on a bet, and yeah, it was we'll go back next year and have a better time, because now we know what to expect. Then later that night was the main event, the PBR, the rodeo, the bull riding. That was fun, and another concert, and more food, and a lot more beer. Lots of beer. Lots. And then Sunday morning was the last car show, so the last show and shine event for our little convoy crew, and then from there we all hit the road again to come back to Townsville. So we all sort of split up at that point. Some of us got to Richmond and stayed there. Some of us went through to Hewenden for the night. Others, I don't know how they did it, but they actually drove all the way home. So just props to them, because I got to Hewenden and just went, I can't go anymore. I need to sleep. It was all that beer. That's what did it. Yeah, so we went to we stayed at Hewenden on the Sunday night, and then on the Monday we did some more touristy things. So we stopped pretty much, because we had missed the start of the convoy, we then wanted to catch up on the things that we'd missed. So we went to the Wookatook Cafe at Pentland, which is beautiful. If you're going through there, definitely stop in and have a cup of coffee, because it's just a great coffee, yummy scones, brilliant. You just sit out on the deck and you watch the cars go by. It's great. Well, the trucks, there's probably more road trains than cars out there at the moment, but it was really great. So we stopped there. Then we went into Charters Towers. We went up the hill, Towers Hill Lookout, and yeah, I love Charters Towers, and I've been there so many times, but have never been to the hill before, so go figure. Amazing. So kind of want to go, hey, Townsville Council, go check out Towers Hill and then put that up at Castle Hill, because the way that they've done it it's fabulous. Like Charters Towers, on point, guys, because I know you're all saying, oh, it's a smaller hill. Yeah, okay, whatever. But they've got an amphitheatre up there that they show a movie up there every Saturday night. So I think about the history of the gold mining and all that sort of stuff. There's like a wooden boardwalk thing that sort of goes out and around. There's walking tracks all over the hill. There's little information stands, things. There's the cleanest public toilet block. Once again, Charters Towers killing it. And yeah, it's just nice. So that was Towers Hill. Then we went to the to my favourite fish and chip shop, which is the one, I can never remember what it's called, but it's next to the real estate on the main street, opposite the chainsaw and mower shop. I really should get their name one day so I can give them a proper shout out, but they never fail. Like, they're amazing. They're always good food. Steak burgers rock. And anyway, so we ordered our chips, and sure enough, she's gone, do you want plain or chicken salt? We've gone, me and my sister just sort of looked at each other and went, both. And then the guy from the kitchen yelled out, we'll make you dance for that. So yeah, so they fish and chip shop owners everywhere must really be hating on Optus at the moment, because yeah, it's funny. And yeah, so then we went to the park to have lunch with the flying foxes, but we couldn't find them. Are they gone? Like, has Charters Towers actually got rid of their flying fox problem? Because if so, once again, Townsville Council, have a chat to Charters Towers and find out what they're doing, because last time I went, the park was like, it was being overrun by flying foxes. They were noisy, they'd stripped the trees. This time around, completely different. Like, the trees have grown back. There wasn't so much, well, the only noise was from the chickens over they've got like a little aviary area, so the ducks and the geese and everything were having a party. but other than that, we didn't, there was none of the flying fox problem that was there last time. So if I haven't said it enough, Charters Towers, you guys rock. Like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And so that was it. Then we headed back to Townsville, and we got back to Townsville just on dark, and climbed out of the car and did a bit of a bit of a Hail Mary salute to the Peggy, because the Peggy, the combi, after the she nailed it. She nailed it with her top speed of 90. It was a slow trip. So anyway, so that's what I've been up to. So much fun, and definitely put the Overlanders Way on your list of things to do if you like road tripping. If you've we tented it for the whole week, so we took a tent and camped out. But next time, I think if you've got a caravan, if you've got a camper van, do that. The tent was good, but it was just that we were putting it up, putting it down, putting it up, putting it every day, and got a bit old. And massive shout out to the Optus guys, the Isuzu guy, Tricky, God, he's funny. Tamara from Cockatoo House, who was like the marketing PR guru, who just made everything happen. She's like the coolest chick in the world. She's so fun. The Julia Creek Dirt and Dust guys, and Candy, oh my god. So Candy runs FC's Coffee. Now you will find her coffee van over in Aitken Vale on Ann Street. In there's like a footy ground or soccer grounds there somewhere, and you will find her set up there every morning. Go and see her and get a cup of coffee. We're going to have a Townsville Women coffee date there one morning once the temperature's just about good to go there now and have an outdoor morning. She's beautiful. So she was the organizer of the convoy part. So she organized all of us with the cars. She was the one working furiously behind the scenes, making sure everyone was okay. And she's just beautiful. She's absolutely gorgeous. You just want to hug her. she's like this high, and she's just beautiful. She's a little pocket rocket. She didn't stop the whole week, and just props to her, because she just did an absolutely amazing job with everything. And nothing was too much trouble. At one point there, we pulled off to take a photo of something, and she turned around to come back and make sure we were okay, and we're like, yeah, we're fine. It was just great. And everyone on the convoy was fantastic, and it was just fun. Like, I'm not a car club person. I've never been on a convoy road trip before. I work a lot with small business through Townsville Women, but never with, never on something like this. And it was just so much fun. So yeah, that's it. This video is now gone way too long. Sorry guys, but you can now see why I didn't write all this down, because it just would have been, I write how I talk, so that's how it's, it would have been an essay. It would have been a novel by the time I finished. So keep an eye out over the next month or so. I will be releasing, I'll do a profile on each place that we stopped, and yeah, go do it. It's fun, and I'll see you next week.